One thing that I think we all hear a lot, and even some of us say a lot, is the idea of tax the rich. You know, rich people are the drain on society, the strain on society. And this, to an extent, is true. Millionaires are not rich, though. And I know that's going to be one of those things where people are going to go straight to the comment section now, and you're going to get why would you say millionaires aren't rich? That's a lot of money, you can buy a... Look, of course it's a lot of money. Of course, relatively, millionaires are rich. But you know, the guy driving around in his Lamborghini on a Tuesday afternoon, who's worth 10 million, isn't a drop in the ocean compared to the real scale money that we're dealing with at the minute. And I think another thing to consider is wage inflation. I'm going to get to what I mean in both of these terms in just a second. But I want to... I'm just going to let the train go past. I want to quickly just dive into that topic a bit more. So, in about the 1980s, let's say, we all understand the concept that wages were stronger than what they are now, whether that's due to inflation, whether that's due to companies paying better for whatever reason. Wages earned more, or rather went further. And the concept of the fact that, you know, someone's dad could work alone and he could have enough money to bring in 2 cars, have a mortgage, and go on holiday once or twice a year. That concept, you know, from back in the day. And now, of course, for most people, that's not the reality. But this is a thing, and this is obvious to most people, so I don't want anyone to really point it out, because I understand it as well, but most of you guys will too. The reason why that's disappeared is mainly due to inflation, and asset inflation and price inflation. But if wages kind of kept up relative to, say, house prices and asset prices and the price of food and the price of fuel and all of these other things, what would a median middle class salary be? Well, wouldn't it be something closer to the point where we were in the 80s, where a dad could work, have 2 cars, go on holiday once or twice a year and have a house? Would that be a lot more now in terms of cash? You see, it's a genius narrative that's been kind of portrayed or played on the common people, and I mean all of us for that regard. You see, the person driving around in these, not necessarily Lamborghinis and Ferraris, but middle class expensive cars and having these decent houses, these aren't the rich. These are the middle class, or what should be the middle class. You know, these are what would have been the middle class in times gone by, and I think most people can kind of understand this concept, but they don't understand how it ties into them. Wages have been dipped so much that most people see these people as absolutely rich, and of course, compared to certain people in the world, they have an awful lot, and they are living a very abundant lifestyle. But whilst it's true that even I, and many of you guys as well, have a life of relative luxury, it's important to consider that living conditions at the moment are, due to pay decreases and in the UK specifically, decreases in funding for a lot of services. Living conditions are currently on the down a little bit, and that shouldn't be the case. So, what am I trying to say here? Let's tie it all in to make sense, right? Because I'm sure some people are going to be thinking that I'm going on a random rant. Trust me, I think this makes sense. A middle class salary is not 30,000. It's not 40 or 50,000, not really. I think it's at least 60 or 70,000. If you can't live a middle class lifestyle, then how can you say you have a middle class salary? I don't think you can. What's been played out, though, is people who do not get paid these higher wages have been led to hate on and hate towards these people who have these nicer things in life, like the Porsche 911 that's just driven past me. These people aren't rich. These people are richer than most, but what rich really is billions and trillions, which is what the hedge funds, big capital firms, and of course big CEOs have in their bank accounts and to their names. So what I'm saying here, something's kind of been played on people to the point where we've been led to believe that, you know, hate the rich. But the rich people that we see on a daily basis, the rich people that we've been led to hating, are people just like us. And again, I said this in a former video that I filmed earlier today, and will probably either be out by now or out in the next few days. It was always my idea from growing up that the idea of the dream in the West as people call it, is, you know, you can start off potentially as a poor person, or even as someone moving to these countries from maybe a less rich country or whatever, you can, whether it be get your education or start a business or something like that, and you can make something of yourself. That is the way to become richer, right? More middle class, you could say. And now I think it starts to make sense, right? These people are still middle class, maybe upper middle class, but these are normal people who've made something of their lives. Whereas, you know, these people who have billions, they're the people who are rich. So next time we talk about tax the rich, I do agree. And of course, someone who makes 120,000 from their job should pay more tax than someone who makes 30,000. I think at 30,000, in my opinion, you shouldn't pay any tax, because quite frankly, it's already a low enough salary that you're not having decent living conditions anyway. So for me, I just think it's one of those things that I wouldn't, if I had my way, I wouldn't have it that way, in the sense that I don't think it makes sense that people on such low pay get taxed so much. But at the same time, it's these people who have the slightly nicer things that have just made something of themselves. So I guess what I'm saying is, that's a good thing. It's good for our economy, it's good for our society, and it's good for the people themselves. This is what we all aspire to, right? This is what people who at least want to be part of the system in that way aspire to. And that's fine. But don't ever get it twisted, you know. The rich people, they're the ones that have stolen from us. But rich doesn't mean that you've got, you know, a decent house and you've got enough money so you, your wife and the kids don't have to worry. That's just living middle class. But it takes so much money to do that now. People who do that are perceived as rich. We're being moved into this sort of society and economy where that's fewer and fewer, and that's not because these people are getting richer. Some of them are, if they invest correctly and have houses that they can leverage for refinance and stuff like that. But it's because the middle class appear to be getting squashed, because you need to be earning more to be in it. To earn more, you need to have a more high-skilled job or run a business, or even now we're getting to a point where even if you run a job or have a high-skilled business or something like that, or reverse those, if you run a business or have a high-skilled job, you still can't be earning a decent middle-class salary for a lot of people. So what I'm saying is, this is just the normal way that most people want to live. And this is kind of getting squashed from our society. We're going to have more and more low-paid workers, jobs that would have been once considered middle-class pay, things like teachers, doctors. These are basically not far off very low pay now. And the bottom half are having less, and the top few are having more than ever. Look at how much the top billionaires have grown their wealth in the last 20 years. Look at how much top CEOs get paid. So what I'm saying here is, and people may agree with this message, people may agree with the video, I'm not sure if it makes as much sense to others as it does to me, but like I say, whether people like this content or not, I don't ask people to subscribe. I hope that you do, I hope that you find some value from it, but I just share my opinions here, that's all. All I'm saying though is, next time you're in traffic and someone pulls up in a Lamborghini, great for him, don't be jealous, don't be sad that it's not you, it can be you still, but this guy is not rich. This is just your average person. Some people have billions and control trillions, and these are the people who we should be looking towards, as in pointing the finger at. But because of the genius trick that's kind of been pulled, your average person doesn't really take the time, whether it's due to lack of understanding, lack of insight. They don't take the time to think about this. They point the finger at the guy driving the Porsche, and in reality, that's not where we should be looking. We've been tricked into fighting amongst each other at this low level. And what I mean is, like I said at the start of the video, these people aren't rich. We've been tricked, all of us poor people, into fighting amongst each other, whilst the billionaires and trillionaires, and when I say trillionaires, I mean in terms of capital management, they run away with our money. So that's really it. That's the message for this video. If you learnt something from it, or if you found it useful, or if you agree with me or disagree with me, whatever, let me know in the comment section. I'm interested to hear your opinions. This is just what I've seen. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I say, it's an opinion-based channel. I don't say anything's factual unless I say it's factual. But that's it for this one. I've got to get home because I've been on this bike for awfully long now. I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.